Welcome back to the human body, where today we will be talking about the respiratory system. For the respiratory system, the structures you'll need to be able to name and label are the lungs, the trachea, the larynx, bronchi, the bronchioles, alveoli, intercostal muscles, and the diaphragm. The main function you'll need to be able to describe is gas exchange, and in particular describe how the alveoli are adapted to make them well suited for this task. First, we'll take a look at our need to know structures. We have the lungs, a pair of organs in the chest, which is where gas exchange will take place. So the air will enter in via our mouth or our nose, then travel down a series of tubes, which we'll also discuss, until it reaches here, the lungs. The goal is to bring oxygen in from the atmosphere, but to get carbon dioxide out from our system. We have the trachea, also known as the windpipe. It's part of that series of tubes within the respiratory system that helps to bring air into the lungs. We also have the larynx, which contains the voice box found in the neck. So it will produce sound as the air passes through, and this is what allows us to speak. Branching off from the trachea, we have the bronchi, so one going to each of the lungs. These will eventually branch off into even smaller tubes, known as the bronchioles. So these are the final part of the muscular tubes that bring the air to the site of gas exchange, specifically the alveoli of the lung tissue. So the alveoli are incredibly important structures. They're found dispersed throughout the lung tissue. So these are tiny little air sacs where gas exchange will take place. So oxygen will enter into the bloodstream, whereas carbon dioxide will leave it. We'll discuss this in a little bit more detail in a moment. We also have the intercostal muscles. So these are found between the ribs, help to move the rib cage when we're breathing in and out. And finally, we have the diaphragm muscle, and this will contract when you breathe in and relax when you breathe out. If we think about breathing itself, this is the mechanical act of bringing that air into the lungs. So it's a process by which you'll take oxygen in, but also let carbon dioxide out. So our lungs have the capacity to expand as well as the chest cavity, and this is all about moving that air where it needs to go. When you breathe in, which you might also see referred to as inhalation or inspiration, the diaphragm and intercostal muscles will contract, chest cavity will expand, pressure within your lung will be reduced, and this pulls air into the lungs, specifically those alveoli air sacs, and gas exchange will take place. Breathing out, also known as exhalation or expiration, process is the complete reverse. So the diaphragm and intercostals will relax, chest cavity decrease, the lungs will recoil, pressure in the lungs will go up, and the air will be pulled out, and the carbon dioxide will leave with it. Now that we know all of our essential structures, we can look at the details of gas exchange. So all the cells of our body require oxygen as their fuel for energy, but when this fuel is used up, what we're left with is carbon dioxide, a waste product. Problem with this is that carbon dioxide, CO2, is toxic when it builds up to high concentrations, so we need to be able to get it out of our system. But we also need to make sure we have a constant supply of oxygen. To do this, we have to do gas exchange, which we said takes place within the alveoli. So blood that contains the CO2 will enter the alveoli tissue, allowing it to pass into the lungs, and then It will leave the body when we breathe it out. At the same time, the oxygen that we've already breathed in that's present in the lung tissue will enter into the bloodstream and travel to the rest of the body. Taking a closer look at those alveoli, we see that it has the perfect structure for its function. It has a large surface area as it's folded in on itself many times over. In fact, if we were to actually take the alveoli out of the body and stretch it all out, it would be the same size as a tennis court. So this large surface area increases the amount of gas exchange that can take place. It's also only one cell thick, and this makes it very easy for the oxygen and the carbon dioxide to move in and out of the lung tissue. It has a very good blood supply. In fact, it's in direct contact with the blood vessel. Again, this makes it very easy, very quick for the gases to move in and out. And finally, it has a moist environment, and this will help the gases to dissolve, which again makes gas exchange much more easy. If you have any questions, you can leave these in the comment section below.